Hello, everyone. And on behalf of Baylor Alumni and Baylor External Affairs, welcome to Made in Waco. My name is Krista Brinzer, Assistant Director of Community Relations and City Growth, and I'll be your MC for this afternoon. Please note before we get started, this event will be recorded. If you have any questions as well, feel free to use the Q&A function to ask them and we'll incorporate them as we go. I'm excited to introduce our guest today from Nightlight Donuts and Coffee, Waco's very own croissant donut shop. Nightlight is a favorite of mine. I actually have some here with me today. After the event, I encourage you all to swing by and grab something from what is sure to be your new favorite Waco place, if it's not already. Today, we have Jackson Wren and Kate Kooiker with us. Jackson co-founded Nightlight alongside his twin brother, Eric, and Kate joined the team early on and currently serves as Chief Operations Officer. Now, Jackson and Kate, as we begin, tell us about yourselves. Tell us about Nightlight.
Hi, everyone.
How's it going?
I think we just unmuted. Krista, can you hear us okay?
Yes, you're great.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to start and just so I'm Jackson Wren.
I'm Kate Kooiker. Nice to meet y'all.
And we are business partners in building Nightlight Donuts. So I'm just going to tell about the story about how we got started, and then we're just going to get into, I guess, all the crazy stories that have happened since we started.
Details.
So it was about, let's see, it was 2015, and I was driving down to Austin, and there was terrible traffic, and there was like a wreck, and so everyone is just parked on I-35 pretty much in standstill traffic. So everyone's like hanging out on I-35, get out of the car. I'm talking to people, and there's this donut shop across the interstate that's closed, and I was like, man, it was about 4 p.m. I was like, man, that'd be awesome if this thing was open. Why aren't donut shops open at night? And I know there's plenty that are open at night, you know, in bigger cities, but not in Waco. So I went back in my car. I went to GoDaddy.com. I bought the name Nightlight Donuts, and I was like, I'm just going to hold on to it and see if anything happens with it. So fast forward, I guess 3 years. Yeah, or 2 years. My twin brother and I, we started a business called Dapper Bear, where we the official bear bike. Krista, I think you're wearing the scarf.
Nice.
So, thank you. Wow.
Free to represent.
Yes, I love it. Thanks. So my twin brother and I did that while we were at Baylor. Started that our junior year, and then we ended up selling it. And we were like, what do we want to do next? So in a real swerve, we decided to move to New York City, and we were like, we're going to try to write for SNL. So we moved up there. We ended up living right above a donut shop. And at this donut shop, they had a bunch of different types of donuts, like just kind of the regular yeast or cake donuts, which are delicious. But then they had one croissant donut, and it was just a regular glazed donut. So it was probably the first week we were there. My twin's name is Eric, and we went to this place, and we fell in love with this croissant donut. And we were like, this is the best thing we've ever had. And they're like at all these different donut shops across New York City. So we lived there for 9 months, and for the next 9 months, we pretty much ate one of these huge croissant donuts every single day. It was delicious. So I ended up getting accepted to Baylor Law School in early 2018 to start in the summer. So Eric and I were like, okay, we're gonna move back to Waco. Let's see if we can make a donut business work there. So we started making plans for it, and circled back to Nightlight Donuts, which was 2 years previous. And we were like, that's perfect. Let's build something that's open at night and also sells croissant donuts, because there's nowhere like that, really, even in Texas, that sells croissant donuts. And there really is no major brand that does it. So we wrote a business plan. I don't come from a cooking background. This is before we ever knew Kate. So we put up an ad on, we were like, all right, we got to find a recipe for a croissant donut. We got to have our own. So we put up an ad on Craigslist about 6 weeks before we moved back from New York City. And it was like, we're looking for a croissant chef. That's all we're looking for. I mean, I think we probably accidentally set ourselves up to be contacted by probably some of the weirdest people in New York City. But we ended up getting this response from someone, and he's like, hey, I used to make croissants in Paris, France. And I would go like ride around on this tricycle and sell it at these different touristy locations. And we're like, this guy's making this up. Too good to be true. So we did our due diligence on him, and we're like, wow, this is legit. So we went over and met with him, and then we worked with him for about 6 weeks and developed a recipe. Basically, that's a croissant that we could take through our donut process, which includes a fryer. So we basically figured out how to turn a croissant into a donut. And that's how we started. So moved back to Waco, and then raised a little bit of money from friends and family, started the donut truck in May of 2018, and we've been rolling like that since. So I want you to tell how you came in the picture.
Yeah, so where I came in the picture, I moved to Waco close to 3 years ago now, and I came to work for Magnolia. So I was on the display team there.
Kate's a brilliant designer. So like whenever we were building out our storefront, she was like, okay, I can see this. So
that was really one of my first things. I jumped in on some meetings with the architect and y'all as you were planning for the storefront. But I started not long after y'all opened the truck.
Yeah.
I was cooking donuts in the morning before I'd go into my other job. And then as y'all got more serious about the brick and mortar, that became more and more of a reality. I jumped into that.
Yeah.
Planning for that. And almost a year ago exactly, actually.
Yeah, almost a year ago exactly.
Came on full time.
Right. Yeah.
And here we are.
So for I think it was the week that we launched Nightlight and, had the truck here and had our first event selling donuts, was the second week I was in law school. So I graduated from Baylor Law School in this past November. So just 3 months ago. Yeah. So this last 3 months is really my first 3 months ever to do Nightlight without law school, which is really nice. But Kate has been critical so Eric was kind of is like the co-founder with me of the business. And then when Kate came in, I think she's filled this role of kind of like a founder of how our brick and mortar stuff looks. It's just been really critical in building that. So anyways, that's how we got here so far. And then I feel like there's probably 50 crazy things that have happened in the past year to get where we are.
So talk a little bit about your menu. You mentioned that you found a person to walk you through the recipe. And now today, I know you have coffee, but you also have your set menu of flavors, sometimes rotating things in and out seasonally. So just talk about that. What's your favorite flavor? What's your best seller?
Good question. Okay, so we're kind of operating off of a simple menu strategy. So we want it to be like where you go and it's just very simple with what you can order. It's kind of
not overwhelming you with choices.
Exactly.
A few things really well.
Yeah. So we have how many flavors?
We have, I guess, 6, including sprinkles.
So here we brought some, which I don't want to be rude, but I'm for sure gonna eat some in a second. Okay, here we go.
And awesome.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a walkthrough on these. So we've got Glazed, original Glazed up here. I washed my hands, but I guess it doesn't matter because I'm gonna be the one eating them anyways. And then we got chocolate. All these are homemade. We've got beignet, so just kind of sprinkled powdered sugar on it. Cinnamon sugar, chocolate glaze and sprinkled glaze with sprinkles, obviously. And then we always have a seasonal favorite and flavor that rotates out, and this one is
cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream. It's delicious. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. So are we gonna eat me now? Probably not. We should wait a second. Okay. So those are the flavors, and then kind of what we do with the excess, because obviously with the donut shop you have excess for donut holes. So in a bag of donut holes, we have 5 donut holes, which maybe at first glance seems like that's not very many. But then when we look at them, they're about the size of, I don't know, the face. Yeah, they're huge. So this is the equivalent of about 2.5 or 3 croissant donuts, and we have donut holes in all different flavors. And so, each month we're figuring out, really from our staff, we have a couple people who are just geniuses in the cooking world, and they're figuring out like, what are our flavors going to be?
Yeah. What ideas kind of go with the theme of the month?
Yeah. Some ones that we have kind of on the radar just to tease everyone is maple bacon. Ooh. The actual bacon on the donut. We got lemon glaze. Anyway, so we're going to be circling through one flavor each month. And then one other thing is we are in the dead middle of working on a savory menu option. So like a kolache right now. And and we'll keep the rest of it secret because it's so exciting. It's so good. So anyways, that's kind of our menu that we work with. Everything is croissant-dough.
Donuts wise.
Coffee
on top of that.
Yeah, coffee. Talk about coffee.
So we partner with Intelligentsia. They're based out of Chicago, and y'all really founded that partnership pre-me, but we've loved working with them this whole time. They've been really great. We have a stand, a constant flavor, which is our Nightlight blend, and then we also have a rotating seasonal whatever single origin. So all the beans are roasted from the same country. Right now it's Colombia. We just switched yesterday, actually. So that's fun too. We always have something cycling through.
Yeah, we kind of created the inside so that it's the the way that I've worded it is it's like the intersection between a cool trendy coffee shop and a mom and pop donut shop. So whenever you walk in, we've hoped to sort of create that environment where people can either come in and go out real quick and get a donut, or can sit down and study and hang out, drink coffee, meet with friends. So that's kind of the vibe that we've created. We're big vibe people. We're like, what's the vibe going to be? So anyways, that's kind of the vibe that we've created.
I love that. I did branch out today and I got sprinkles on top of my plain glazed, but normally I just love the classic, but I like the idea of getting something new. So I need to keep checking back and try one of the monthly flavors. But speaking of your coffee collaboration, I know you also have a lemonade that's signature to your business. Could you talk a little bit about that and your local partnership with that?
Totally. So there's a local company called Pop's Lemonade. It's a couple named Omari and Abby Head who run it. And it is truly the best lemonade I've ever had. I think that my staple has always been kind of Chick-fil-A lemonade, and I love it so much. But this lemonade, honestly, it surpasses it. So it's this like family recipe that this guy who owns Omari has, I guess, had his whole life. And they've created this lemonade truck that pops all around town. They have some cool different flavors. Whenever we were launching Nightlight, they came to us and they were like, let's see if we can create a cool flavor that's only for Nightlight, which was awesome. So they created this, it's like the original lemonade. And it's like
they put cinnamon sticks in it.
They put cinnamon sticks in it while it actually like all settles together. So you get like this little hint of cinnamon in it. It's really good. So,
which just hearing about it is maybe, I don't know how that's going to taste, but
yeah, we were like, I don't know. And then we became obsessed with it. So that's what we have. So that's the one lemonade we have that just kind of circles. I don't know if we'll ever change the flavor, but because people love it, but that's the lemonade we have. It's from Pop's Lemonade in Waco.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love that. So we have had a question come in through our Q&A. So Claire asks, can you tell us about some of your unorthodox secrets to success, like never washing your jeans, celebrating weirdness, and the importance of owning Lycra onesies?
You never wash your jeans?
That's hilarious. Okay, whoever Claire is, that's hilarious. Well, truly the first month of Nightlight Donuts, I did not change clothes,
that's
unfortunately. But don't worry, I wasn't necessarily, it was all health code compliant, but we were so busy that we would go, let's actually talk about like when we started it. Yeah. So our opening week, keep in mind that Kate and I, we're really passionate about creating a business that is able to deliver kindness to people in a really exceptional way. And we love donuts, but we also don't really have much of a donut background. And this is really the first time we've done this. So whenever we describe this first like week and then kind of the month leading up to it, like this is us being like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? So opening week, we did a soft opening on October 19th and then a grand opening.
And we kind of phased into our full hours, our full menu.
So
October 23 is our grand opening day.
I think, was it on our grand opening day that the box fell from the ceiling?
Yeah.
So here's a little thing. So on our grand opening day, Waco was just so generous and really showed up in incredible ways. Like, it was in the very middle of the pandemic, and it's, I think the weather that day was terrible. I think it was like raining, and we had like 67 cars in the drive-thru just because people in Waco wanted to come and support us, which is so generous and so meaningful. So while our drive-through is just wrapped around this development, we're so excited. We're getting donuts out. And all of a sudden, from in the back room where we're prepping all of our dough, it's like this box that holds.
Yeah, there's a whole network cage in the back, right? That holds all of our networking cables and cords. I'm not the tech team.
Not the tech team right here.
All our screens went completely black.
So it was like, it's like this 3 foot by 3 foot huge steel box that's mounted to the ceiling. So middle of the day on first and grand opening day, this thing falls from the ceiling. All of our screens go black.
We've got people running back and forth through the drive-through with sticky notes.
No one knew how to, like, I remember our team came in and they're like, what do we do? And we remembered that one of our interview questions whenever we were interviewing for our staff was, let's pretend like the whole system goes out in the drive-through. It's packed. What do you do? And so, we're hearing all these answers and we're like, yeah, it's a good answer. All of a sudden on grand opening day, they're like, the system's out. What do we do? And Kate and I are like, oh my gosh. We prepared for this. So we got out sticky notes and we had people running through sticky notes.
90 something degrees outside.
It was crazy. So that was like grand opening day that happened, and I think our times took a little longer to get stuff out. It was awesome seeing people from Waco literally sit in line and wait for us. Really gracious.
Yeah.
So that was like one thing during the first week. I don't know if that really answers the questions about jeans, but I didn't change clothes often. So maybe that would land that one home.
I'm going to clarify, I change clothes every day. So
every day. Kate walks in, I'm like, wow, you look so professional. And Kate's like, you've been wearing that for 3 weeks. So anyways,
so it goes.
So that was like one of the things on opening day. I'm trying to think. So the ice storm, I actually do want to jump to that. We've been open for just over 4 months. And I think this is where times for us are starting to feel a little more settled, just because we're getting in more of a rhythm. We're hopefully coming out of the pandemic. We're getting out of the middle of winter.
Yeah, less of a survival mode, more, okay, we have a chance to breathe here.
So then the ice storm comes, and in a crazy turn of events, the ice storm froze our big walk-in freezer that had all this, just tons of dough in process really for these donuts. It ended up wiping out, what was it was about $30,000 worth of inventory, worth of product in there, which was extremely difficult. So right now we're figuring out how to bridge that gap right now and everything. But that threw us for a loop for sure. In the middle of February, the worst ice storm in a century, in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. So I guess going back to Claire's question, what are the secrets to success? I think roll with it has really been kind of a motto for us. And in the ice storm example, we didn't have what we needed to be able to make donuts equipment wise. Some of our equipment had malfunctioned because of the storm, and ingredient wise, no one was sending out trucks that whole week really.
Yeah.
So we opened as just a coffee shop for a couple days until we were able to get back up and running.
So it came to a halt. And I think that, I think this past year, Kate and I have been like, wait, this happened and this happened and this happened. This is crazy. Is this like just happening to us? And I think one of the things that I've realized and Kate's come to realize like on our own individual terms is that this is, I think it's nothing unique to us. I kind of think that this is something that just for people in this world who are, taking risks and starting businesses, that like things just hit from all over all the time. And I think that could be part of it. And I think it's really fostered a lot of flexibility with Kate and I, because, every day we go in and we're like, we don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think for the last year, really, since I've been on board, it's kind of like, okay, I haven't done this yet, literally every day. Yeah. And you figure it out. You fake it till you make it. You write a dumpster letter about how to take care of your dumpster. Who knew you had to do that?
The city was like, we need a plan for the dumpster for what you're going to do.
Great.
Well, we thought it was just emptying it, but this is good to know. So Kate did research, wrote up this beautiful letter of how the dumpster process is going to operate. And people in the city are still talking about it. So really set the standard on the dumpsters there. Yeah.
I love that. We've had a lot of questions coming into the chat that we'll get to in a minute, but I do sort of want to expand upon that. As entrepreneurs, particularly young entrepreneurs, what are one thing that you wish you knew going into this that you maybe hadn't considered? And what is your biggest piece of advice for, again, aspiring entrepreneurs who are starting to go through that process and who might not know where to start?
That's a really good question. Okay, I'm going to start with the first piece. I'm looking at the Q&A. Krista, can you jog my memory on the first part of that question again?
Yes. So what's the biggest piece of the entrepreneurship puzzle that you sort of wish you knew going into it that you might not have known? And then what would you advise to aspiring entrepreneurs?
Awesome. Okay. So for me, the first piece I wish I would have known going in is and I think that we got lucky, but is how critical it was just for me, I think personally, to have a business partner. That's one of the things that I think I've always been a little hesitant about. It's just, it's such a close like working relationship that what should that look like? What should that be? And I haven't really known. And I feel like I hit the jackpot with Kate, and I don't think it would be anywhere near the degree that it's, I guess, success-wise, that it's been so far with just being able to be at the position we're at without having a partner. Because I mean, there's like, I can just go all in different directions. Kate is like extremely organized, sees like the culture piece of this just in a really like beautiful way. So I think that for me, the key, honestly, I think to this collective success is partnership.
Yeah, I think that's really kind. Thank you. I think for me, going into it, kind of a reason that I really wanted to join Jackson and what he was doing with Nightlight, what him and Eric were doing, was the personal growth side of it. I could see there's going to be a lot of stretching and a lot of learning to happen, which is something that I really value. What I think I didn't expect at the same time was, oh, I don't know if that ever ends. Yeah. Because a year later, here we are still with, oh, ice storm. Right. Okay. Great. And we'll handle it.
Yeah.
And that will always be the case, probably.
Yeah.
Expect the unexpected. So
totally.
Yeah.
And then the second part of this question, this is a good example of where I'm not great. What was the second part of that question?
I don't know. I forgot there was a second part.
Okay.
Your biggest piece of advice.
Okay. My biggest piece of advice is is to make sure that you are capitalized well in whatever business that you're doing. And by that specifically, I mean that the cash that you have on hand is sufficient for the very unexpected times. Like, for example, the ice storm. I mean, we knew we were starting this, or, building the brick and mortar in the middle of a pandemic, but even just that, I think I wish that I would have known to what I would probably consider overcapitalized to make sure that you really have the cash to weather storms, tread water for whatever it is. What about you?
I feel like my advice would be plan, and this could probably go throughout life, not just a business, but yes, make plans and hold those plans incredibly loosely, because it really trickles back to expect the unexpected, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, even I think our training week, we talked a little bit about one of the things that, internet box goes down. Okay, great. How do we handle that? We were kind of training. We got some really new upgraded pieces of equipment that we didn't have in our old operation. And just some logistical pieces about how we were learning how those things worked. And then we had to train 50 people on how those things worked. In my mind, I want to go in feeling fully prepared. Okay, great. I have tons of time I'm ahead of the game. I know how to articulate to these people, to our beloved employees who we could talk forever about them too. About how they work and how to make the best donuts and coffee, and then how to serve them in a way that is up to the Nightlight standard. But we were actually learning it. It turned out that we were learning it at the same time that we were teaching it, which is something that I, as a planner, wouldn't prefer, but had had to make happen. So
I think I'm really strong in the area of being like, okay, whatever happens. Kate is an unbelievable planner, like make sure things get done. And so we really complement each other on a lot of that, where it's like, we need more flexibility. Great. We need a lot more planning, which is normally the case. Then great. So Kate's been critical. I think that's a really good point. Yeah. Chris, I don't mean to steal the mic, but I see a question that says, have you ever considered going on Shark Tank? I love that. Thanks for asking that. We applied a month ago.
Yeah, I guess in December.
Yeah, we applied a couple months ago, 3 months ago. apparently I'm bad at calendars, but yeah, so we'll see. We thought it was more of just a fun thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And you'll have to keep us informed if you can. I don't know if that's one where you just sort of wait until it's being advertised and then you see it.
Yeah, either. So yeah.
So we've talked a lot about your brick and mortar and how you started as a food truck. Do you still operate that truck? I know we have a question in the chat about the truck being at the farmer's market and just some hopes that it might be popping up elsewhere around Waco sometime soon.
Yeah. So yes, we do still have the truck and it's still operating. For I guess the month of December, we were like, we got to make sure that the storefront operations are really running well, because we were trying to figure out how much, to make and how much would go on the truck and then how much would go inside the storefront. So we kind of, I guess, pressed pause for a little bit on that, but we're just like every other human being alive, thrilled for the pandemic to wrap up. But we're expecting that, I think catering and events will really become a thing again for the donut truck. And then on the farmer's market piece is
so we hope to start the farmer's market up. That's something we've talked about a lot recently, ASAP really.
Yeah.
But right now the truck is primarily being used for catering. So we don't, at least at this point, we don't have plans to do pop-ups again apart from the farmer's market. We'll just use that for events like weddings, private parties, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Also, I don't know how many people are on this, but I'm so curious if anyone's thinking like, no, y'all should be popping up downtown, other areas in Waco, because we haven't been doing that. But anyways, I'll just kind of prompt that if anyone has an opinion on that for the next 30 minutes or so.
So next question from the chat, and I'll build on this a little bit. What were your undergraduate majors and how did they apply to what you're doing today?
You talk about that first.
So I went to a small school called Hope College in Holland, Michigan. So that's where I moved to Waco from.
You ran track up there. So
always plugs.
I will never race, Kate, ever.
I majored in studio art and business management. So the double was really great for me because it worked both sides of my mind. And I'm really thankful that I did both. I feel like they prepared me incredibly well for not only what I'm doing now, but where I'm envisioning the rest of this going. So when I moved here working for Magnolia, I was again at the display department. So it was a really, I guess, conventionally creative role, right? Like I'm working with materials, I'm painting, I'm sculpting, these sorts of things. So it was great. It really honed a lot of my craft skills. And was thinking about creativity in general, the whole creative process. And then I feel like jumping on board with Nightlight, not only was I really excited about Jackson's excitement for where the company was going and your excitement for life. I feel like it's one of your way to go. But just having the opportunity to use creativity in a whole new way, because we're creating a business. We're creating a experience for people.
I think that probably is the reason why we're complementary of each other's skills. So I majored in business and I was entrepreneurship, management, and real estate. So it was helpful to have kind of a wide landscape, I think, of just the business world in general enough to kind of get started. But I think I've realized that the creative aspect is one thing that's always drawn me to entrepreneurship. But I think having Kate in the picture now has just really heightened that piece of it. And I would almost argue that maybe having experience other than like business or business major, while it's so useful, I think that Kate's highlighted to me at least that, you know, you can be like brilliant at art and come in and that can translate. I think it's been cool to see how a lot of different backgrounds, even with our employees, can translate into what we're building here.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And extending that question a little bit, Jackson, for you specifically, what was it like juggling a business and law school at the same time?
Thanks for whoever's asking that. It was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. It was, so here was my schedule. Kate and I were just talking before this about, we're like, I think this is the first couple months I've been healthy in the last 3 years. I would get up, my alarm would go off at 2:30 every morning for 3 full years.
Again, I'll attest to that because I would get a text every morning with my agenda for the day at 2 a.m.
And I would have 15 alarms set because I was like, I might not wake up. I'm so tired. Then I would get up and I would, you know, go study and I'd go to class and then I would work for the rest of the day and then I'd go to sleep and I'd do it again. I don't recommend it just for probably health purposes in general. But I think that there's really unique advantages as a student, honestly, in starting a business. Someone sent an email, I think the other day, to Kate and I, and it asked, they were like, I'm a student, I'm thinking about starting this. What do you think? And my thought immediately when I responded was, I think, you know, research it like crazy, but I think you should go for it because as a student, you really do have really unique opportunities, especially at Baylor with professors who are like, I want to help you so much. And my experience was in the business school and with Dapper Bear, and even still now, not being a student anymore, but at the law school and at the business school, professors are so willing to help, which is awesome. So just if there's any students that would hear this, I would hope that it would give a little bit of some I guess, courage to be like, okay, this is good. This is good as a student.
So next question from the chat, can you talk about the other career paths you considered? And we do have an extension to this question, which was including your time as a semi-professional drummer on the youth circuit.
What?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know about that.
That is hilarious. Okay, other career paths. Wow. What do you think, Kate?
I mean, for myself, most of them are art related. So I worked at an art museum for a year post grad. So that was something I thought about doing longer term. Sticking in the design field. There's so many directions that could go. Those are really my main considerations.
Yeah.
Never donuts.
You know what? To be totally honest, I really don't know. I think SNL is going to be writing for SNL is the answer. My twin brother and I started our first business whenever we were 13. My parents were like, if you want to drive when you're 16, you're going to be paying for your own car. So like get a job or go start something. I think they wanted us to start something. So we started a car detailing service where like my mom and dad would go pick up cars, bring back to our driveway because we couldn't drive, and we would detail them for like 3 hours, make them look awesome. And honestly, from that point forward, I've been like, entrepreneurship's what I want to do the rest of my life, which is probably weird that I went to law school. But what I've learned is that law school is so broad that I think it gives a lot of opportunities for people in business as well to accelerate whatever they want to do in business. So.
And I think, like you said earlier, both of your backgrounds prepared you in ways that you didn't necessarily see at the time.
Totally.
I'm going to combine the next two questions. One is, where do you see your business in 5 to 10 years? And sort of an extension of that, any plans for growth through the donut business or maybe even another business? So branching out from just donuts.
Awesome. Thanks for those questions. So growth, that is primarily what Kate and I guess really over the past probably couple months have given almost all of our attention to. So the goal from the very beginning of this, even from the food truck days, was to open up a brick and mortar and then be able to have some company-owned stores, but then franchise it. The idea being we want it in every major college town and every major city across the U.S. So definitely ambitious goals, but ones that we think really are, I think, achievable and something that really would be a good fit in different cities, because there really is no major donut brand that carries a croissant donut. So right now we're actively looking at locations that we would expand to, whether in Texas or out of state.
Yeah.
We're, meeting with different people to make that start to happen. It's hard to give a timeline for it. I know no one's asking for a timeline. I just completely inserted that myself. But I think one of the things Kate and I have learned over the past year is it's like, even with construction, we were like, it'll take this long, and it takes longer. Not because of anything with our contractor, just because of all the extra environmental factors.
Right.
So, so growth-wise, do you have anything else on?
Yeah, I mean, even like with the farmer's market question, it's so interesting. What seems like a simple question for us on the back end of things includes just so many what seem like unrelated logistical or whatever really kind of details or considerations. And so I think with growth it's the same way. We kind of whiplash day to day.
That's the word we've used to describe it, is it's very whiplashy.
It's really what it feels like. Just because we have to be weighing so many implications of each path for growth. So
the way we've worded it is that over, I guess, the next months, as we really actively pursue growth and figure out where we want to be, we're going to be trying on different locations is the way we've worded it. So it's like, for example, we went up to Denver and we gave a really hard look at Denver and really felt excited about some options there. And we kind of like tried that on as much as we could. And then another example, we're looking at Houston. So we're kind of in the process of trying that on, seeing what that looks like. And I think that piece of it is whiplashy, because it's like, okay, Denver, Houston, where's it going to be? But I think it's just a piece that's inherent with growth of a company. I think I'm learning that most of the things that we've experienced aren't particularly unique to us. I think it's probably just something that is just in this, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, field of growing a business.
That's awesome. Going back a little bit to the creative process, who did your branding, and could you talk about it a little bit more? I know I've got the donut box behind me. I love the brand, but I also love how when you opened up that box, like you showed earlier, it says "Be kind."
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, I want you to talk about the branding piece.
Well, before I came on, you guys already had a logo, and fonts, the basic, everything that you need, and then really having those essential pieces. I've just been able to use my background and my skills to kind of play with and rearrange. So it's been a combination. They were created before. I can't take credit for that, but
I think Kate's figured out how to translate that from like, food truck or just something you would see online or a Facebook post to actually whenever you walk in the door at Nightlight Donuts, we're trying to foster that same sort of like even feeling you get that we're trying to foster with when you look at the brand. And then whenever you open the box, I think everyone saw this while Kate and I were fumbling through the box. It says "Be kind," really huge on it. So whenever we were thinking, like, if Nightlight Donuts disappeared, what would have been the purpose of it? What would we have stood for, and how would people have benefited from us being, just existing? So what we came up with is, not even at the expense of a mission statement or purpose statement or anything, but we were just like, we want every single thing we do as an organization to be tied to 4 values. We didn't come up with the number before our 4 values, but we gave this holistic picture of like, what is it that we're trying to do? So our 4 values, it's be kind, be exceptional, be individual, and own it. So that's like every single decision we make, every single interaction with customers. Kate and I are pushing everyone on our staff who does a phenomenal job to remember those 4 things. So I do think it's important to go through them a little bit, like just real quickly.
Sure.
So the way we word "be kind," or the way that I describe "be kind" is, if someone describes you as nice or sweet, I think that's great. That's great. But we want it to, I think kindness has a little, at least in my experience, has a little bit more strength to it. The way I word it is like my mom. I don't know if she's necessarily sweet, but she's kind. It's like if anyone messes with us, like she'll just, she's after them. But so there's this kindness piece that's like she's warm and open and people feel comfortable talking to her. And so we want that to carry on in our store, not just kind of a rote like, hi, how are you? Where it just feels scripted. We want it to be something that's like kindness with individuality to it, which is another one of our values, is be individual. So one of the ways we see that is, some people are more talkative, some people aren't as talkative. And we want people to be just authentically themselves in our store. So that goes for customers, but I think primarily where we see that is with employees. We're like, we want you to be yourself. Don't feel like you need to be anyone else. We hire kind people and motivated people. So we're like, you don't need to be anyone else. Be truly yourself. On the exceptional piece, one of the things our employees do is they carry these coupon cards that they can write on. So if someone's waiting too long, or if someone's had an experience that isn't exceptional, we train our employees to get out a card and write, whatever it is, two free donuts, half dozen free donuts, and give it to the person, because we want them coming back in the door. I mean, it's the first 4 months, and we were like, we know we're going to make so many mistakes. So we really want to be exceptional by getting people back in the door. And then own it is just, we want all of our employees to walk in, and we've trained them to walk in and almost treat it like they own the shop.
Yeah.
And not just wait for direction from us. But like, if there's a customer that's waiting, go up and talk to them. Give them, a coupon. If you see some donuts that don't look exceptional, then you fix those, or you put those aside that we'll give away later, so that we can actually have these donuts that are exceptional. Those are the values that kind of guide everything.
Yeah. So to bring it back, I guess, to the branding question, I feel like it's not just the graphics and what you're seeing on a box for us that is our brand. It really is the heart behind what we're trying to do with the values that Jackson's explaining. And this kind of became a joke. We interviewed so many people, which we're so grateful for, when we opened our
application. It was 6 days.
Yeah, it was quick.
And we got, what was the number?
Close to 500. We got close to 500 applicants. We ended up interviewing 150 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the phrase that we kind of started saying was, this is about selling great donuts and great coffee, but it's much more than donuts, and it's much more than coffee. And so, as illustrated by the values, I feel like, as cliche as that is, it really is more than donuts to us. So
it really is. Like, Kate and I have worded it as, we found a product that's so good, and it's unique, and I think we can take this, really far. But I think for both of us, this feels a little bit more like an experiment of, can kindness prevail in business? Can we build something successful on the foundation of kindness? And I think we're doing that. And I think that's our goal as we grow, is to never lose sight of that, ever. So I hope that gives some semblance of the question.
No, that's great. And I'll say, your employees, they are so kind and exceptional. And can I shout out, like, Hunter helped me this morning, and he was just phenomenal. So there you go. You'll have to share that. A few more questions from the chat. It is 12:45, so we are more than halfway through. We have a question about, where are you located in Waco? And I would also like to expand upon that. How did you choose that location?
Oh, that's an awesome question. Okay, so our address is, we're on
the corner of Highway 6 and 84.
Yeah, I shouldn't read off the address.
6500 Woodway Drive. Sweet
100. Yeah. So we're on it's totally, you say kitty corner, I say catty corner.
Maybe
to Richland Mall and BJ's. We're totally across. How do we choose a location? So this truly is an area where I feel like we got so lucky. We have phenomenal landlords who've come in and made this kind of really a dead area of Waco, just really lively in this development, which is awesome. But the decision point for us, this is before the pandemic. We were like, we have got to have a drive-through. We really believe in, part of this exceptional piece is making a phenomenal product, but also getting it to a customer in an efficient and quick time. So we were like, we need to drive through. And that really narrowed the scope of locations that were
more
available.
Than we expected, really.
Yeah. We had first looked out at I-35, and then all the construction started. and then just zoning stuff across Waco, there's not a ton of options for drive-throughs. But I feel like we really got lucky with that particular location. We kind of view it as the border between Waco and Woodway. And so we're able to get people who are coming across, both sides or even over the lake or Robinson. So.
That's totally fair. And it's on my commute. So thank you for that.
Love it.
I've got 2 more questions before we wrap up. So first one is, you've talked about experimenting. Do you consider yourself the Bill Nye, the science guy of donuts?
That's great.
I love that.
We need to trademark.
Thank you to the anonymous attendee that is submitting these questions.
Whoever anonymous attendee is, trademark that. That's a great, yeah. I think that, so we've realized this almost like this gap in the donut market. It's like crazy donuts, which are fun and cool and have all this stuff on them. And it's like really fun to go get those and try those.
Specialty donuts.
Yeah.
A label.
And then on the other side of the market, we've got the traditional donuts, which I think most people love. And so we've kind of had this gap in the middle of like a specialty donut because of the dough that we have. But also it's something that's
still quick, it's still convenient
and recognizable to customers. I'm so sorry, I don't even remember what the question was.
Bill Nye.
That's it. Okay. so yeah, I think. What do you think?
You can consider yourself the Bill Nye of
donuts.
Start using that as a nickname. Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the things is we really do try out some really interesting seasonal flavors. In the back room, we've got a ton of different flavors. We're trying them. So maybe so. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, I said one more question after this. I'm going to squeeze another one in there. So Kate, this one's just for you. You hit on it briefly, but could you tell us a little bit more in depth how you got connected to Nightlight? I know you went to the truck and started working there early on, but just talk through that moment.
Yeah, so Waco does this thing called First Friday, and because of the pandemic, I don't know if they started it back up or not, but I was out with a few girlfriends on a Friday, and I don't think you were working the truck. I think it was Eric.
It was my twin, but we look like creepy alike.
Just
so
the mirror image thing.
Yeah.
And so that's how I met the donut truck. And I was looking for some extra hours. So it's truly as simple as that. That's how I came across them. They were out about town.
Yeah. Kate would come in at 4 a.m. make donuts before your job. Yep. So Kate had some long days. I think my twin brother and I immediately were like, we've got to get Kate to partner with us. Like, I think she's going to be critical to us being able to build this. So we really recruited Kate for a year. I know this is a question for you, but I just had to give that. We recruited Kate for a year.
Yeah. But Jackson and I, Eric and I, we hit it off pretty quick. So it was, again, more the donuts early on for us because we just became good friends.
Don't you think your creative process was something that was like really kind of missing with us maybe? And you brought that in, and I think that was something that was really useful.
Maybe. Yeah.
We've never talked about that, so I don't know.
For later.
And I know, Kate, you started making donuts. At what point in time did you realize that you were sort of on that path to become the COO of this new business?
I mentioned this earlier. I really would trace it to, I took like one of my lunch breaks from work one day was to go to that meeting with the architect. And I feel like that was kind of a turning point for me. It's like, okay, I feel like I'm being included on some pretty important.
Yeah. Wait, that's actually, I completely forgot about that. That's true.
And I think from that point was really when we started talking about it. It was a really common topic of conversation for us.
Yeah.
What do we want this to look like? What do we want this to be? And I think that's sort of where two individuals' ideas started coming together into one.
Well, I do just want to make one comment. Like your job at Magnolia, this was like your dream job that you came down here for. Yes. And so I think there was probably the riskiest piece of this whole endeavor of growing into a brick and mortar operation really could have been you leaving your dream job to do this. Like Kate made a jump. Kate made a big jump.
A tough place to leave. Magnolia's a great place. Couldn't say enough good about it, but also very glad for where I'm at now. So.
Yeah.
Well, I know that everybody who steps through those doors are grateful for your partnership. My last question for you today is, in your plot for world domination, is Jackson Pinky and Kate, are you the brain?
1,000%. 1,000%. That's it.
All the analogies.
Yeah, that's it.
We're constantly we're looking for the right analogy.
Kate will be on task getting stuff done, and I will be going in a whole different direction. So anyways, Kate is for sure brain.
Awesome. Bill and I brain.
Hilarious.
Again, I think it's the same anonymous attendee out there. So thank you to whoever is submitting those questions. And that is all the time we have for today. Jackson, Kate, thank you again for spending time with us, and everybody out there, thank you for tuning in to hear this story. Again, check out their shop. It's one thing to eat the donuts here in my office. I guarantee you it's 10 times better to walk through those doors and get that full experience and just experience the look and feel in that brand. But thanks again, and have a good day.
Thanks, Krista. Thanks, everyone. We appreciate y'all.